On this session, I just chose to master in the actual session. I usually go ahead and bounce everything all down and then have a separate session for mastering. But in this situation, I just thought, get it done. I've simplified the session. I've deleted everything that we don't need. So now we've just got the lead vocal, got our ad-libs, our doubles, vocoder, and this is more ad-libs over here. And this is our track over here. All of this is getting sent to one master bus, and that's got all our mastering plugins on it. First step, cut all the low end that we don't need, that we're not going to hear. This is going to take up some headroom, so everything under 18 Hertz and below, just completely cut. Same thing with the extreme high end, so 70 kilohertz, which we're never going to hear, just cut that. Next step is Soothe. Love this plugin. It's a deharsher essentially, and let me increase it and put it to delta mode. So this is what it would be cutting. So all that sort of harsh high end, but I decided to put this on 25% because I still want some rawness and attitude and aggression on the actual track. So this is what it will sound like after. This is mastering, so it's only slight changes that add to the overall sheen of the actual track. This plugin here I love. It's by IK Multimedia, part of their T Racks collection. And again, I'm making slight adjustments here and there. This is, for example, stereo width. This is the body, so more or less the low end of the track. Focus is kind of like the mid-range. Air is the very treble. Analog, you might add some analog saturation, maybe kind of like tape emulation. Transients is how punchy you want the sound. Bass punch is how punchy you want the low end. So it very much does all in one, a lot of different plugins all in the one plugin. It's amazing. For example, the air band here, let me exaggerate it. So I've only used 0.3 dB on this. Focus is more or less the mid-range where that vocal presence is. I only had this on about 2. So let me exaggerate it and see what that area is doing. So a slight fraction of that used. Body, I wanted to take away some of that muddiness from the low end. This is what that sounds like. So that's minus 0.3 dB, so it's really not much. But again, this is mastering. We don't want to alter it too much because we like how the mix sounds, but we just want to polish it. Get rid of some of that extra low end, which we don't need. Make the track louder. Get rid of any harshness, and we may want to increase the vocal presence as well. I've included some stereo width. So 0.5 is a nice setting. You don't want to increase this way too much because it starts to get phasey. Bass punch, I wanted more punch from the low end. I want you to feel it. If you've got this on in your car, you really want to feel that low end. Analog sound, I just like the way this sounded. Add some saturation. It's very subtle in the mix. Transient, I wanted more snap from the actual sounds itself. Again, I could have added more, but this is mastering. We sort of want to retain the feel because I like the feel of the mix. Next up, we have Shadow Hills, amazing plugin from Plugin Alliance. What a day and age we live in. We can have a 10 grand compressor in software. Amazing, it blows my mind. So we have 2 different sections, discrete section, and then we have optical compression / limiting. So what I've done on this, you won't see the needles move much. It's mainly the discrete channel that is affecting this. That's the meter for this discrete part. I've put them to link, so they'll both, if I control this, it'll link each other. So I've chosen to go 3:1 ratio, slowest attack possible, fastest release possible. So we're not really latching onto the compression at all, but we're still getting about half a dB/1 dB of compression. I haven't even used the sidechain, so when the kick plays, it will sort of trigger the compression. I usually use it, so usually the kick doesn't trigger compression as such. That very low end doesn't trigger the compression. And that's very much it. I usually play around making the bass mono. For this, I put the high pass filter at 90, because I don't want that very, very sub to trigger the compression. I haven't touched stereo width, and I've put it 100% wet. Haven't put it in parallel, because I trust my ears, I trust the meter and what that's doing, and I trust the sound. Let's overdo it, let's see what happens. Really pumping hard, which it doesn't sound nice. So let's back off. But to give it that sort of pump, that feel, we still want compression happening. Next up, probably the cheapest plugin I have, Standard Clip, amazing plugin. You'll see what it's doing in the meter. It's not doing too much, but it's just shaving up some of that top. It's mainly those loud kicks that it's latching onto. If you overdo it, you'll start to hear distortion. Yeah, not pleasant. So these peaks here are going to get chopped off. We're not going to hear any of that above the peak. It's just going to completely flatline it. But it's not long enough to be audible. It's very quick, so we can get away with it. As a result of this, it means that we can push our overall level louder. Next up, we have a multiband limiter. It's really not doing much. I've just gone to the multi-electro mastering preset, and you'll see it move slightly. If we overdo it, it sounds way too squashed if we overdo it. So we only want, again, fraction. This is mastering, so we don't want to drastically change the sound. We just want to let it breathe, let it do its thing, give it some space to move, give it some movement, and control all those individual frequency bands. So you can solo each part if you really want. I can't stop. Try to put me down, I slipped, I popped. Only wanna throw that cash. But nothing drastic, because I can't hear anything drastic that needs adjusting. The kick is in a nice level. We've adjusted the bass to a nice level. The clap and the hi-hats are not harsh. If the clap was harsh, what I would do is select this area here, drag the threshold down, drag the capable range down, and it would sound something like this. That's what I would do if we had that issue. Next up, a bit of L1 from Waves. Only just really compressing a tiny, tiny, tiny bit. If you overdo it, it doesn't sound nice. Very sort of pumpy in not a nice way. So only using a fraction of this and getting minimal gain reduction. Next up is our final limiter. And what I want to do, because I like how loud it is, it's not too loud, it's not too soft. Overall, the frequencies sound really good. Nothing's hurting my ears. The bass is in a good spot. So last thing, bring up our meter. We want to aim for around about -9, -8 in the LUFS. Bring up our limiter, stealth limiter, very transparent limiter from IK Multimedia. Amazing limiter. So the meter is very last on our chain. I've just reset the meter, set this stealth limiter to -0.1. Some people have -0.2, but for this situation I want it loud. I'm not afraid. So let's pump it until we see around about -9, -8 on here. So go to your loudest part, and we want to aim for a -8 LUFS.
Now we going that back and forth, stack more. I don't wanna do this, but I ask for more. Got a problem, about to clap your door. Shorty wanna roll a total pack. Yeah, I like my time. I don't wanna work no 9 to 5. Yo, that shit can't buy my time. Yo, check that fool, call my line. Oh, you want that cool? There I five, feel my flow. I can't lie, I try to keep my canine tied. Yo, something comes deep inside. Hey, you ain't got dough when you see me. I'd rather see me die than still brave. Yo, fuck what they said to me when we had.
So there was one very last thing I just noticed with the vocal on the outro. My favorite part of the song, check this out.
She like me too.
What I've done, I've set up Valhalla and I've created an automation lane, and it's going from 1.5% to 37.8%. So as I play the track,
She like me
just the tail of that last bit will get affected. Again, before that reverb, I had a de-esser because I don't want those S's to come out. So that's it. Mixed, mastered, done. Let's take a listen.
No can't deny. When I call your line, better reply. Yeah. I lost my identity. Fuck who friend of me. Pop on X, that smoke gon' get him. Why you wanna tie that bread to an offense? Ignore any top business, all that. I'm off that, I drop back. Me and my girl, we on that. We gon' smoke till we're out. One song, get around. Hit hard like a 2-5 piece there. Shout to the boys, keep running, better dream big. I wanna smoke up, and I'm feeling. Everybody got their own damn demon. Oh no, why can't stop it? Try to put me down, I slipped, I popped. Only wanna throw that cash around. Wanna make my mama proud of. Yeah, better stay clear. Coming in high, no I don't fail. 25 dry, yeah, you know I ain't scared. 25 dry, yeah, I'm going in quick. I lost my identity, fuck who friend of me. Pop on X, that smoke gon' get him. I don't want no doubt around them. They just be mad, fuck out of my way. Yeah, no, don't play, I spray. I'm about to pipe to your face, no way. That pussy waited for me all day. I don't think the gon' come my way. Lost my identity, fuck who friend of me. Pop on X, that smoke gon' get him. They don't wanna try me, I got things. They don't wanna try me, I got play. Drop top too high, got facts. I'm back in it, but I'm like my mother. She wanted me to. Why try to deny like K5?
So that's it for the video, guys. Please don't forget to like and subscribe. Follow me on Instagram, and I'll see you in the next one. Peace.